is Vanessa. I don't think everyone's going to see this, but hello anyways. This is my signature assignment, and so I'm just going to be going over the week-long lesson plan that I created, centered around the two kinds of technological devices that I wrote my grant proposal for, which are the smartboard and tablets for my classroom. So as you can see here, obviously the subjects that my week-long lesson plan covers are the subjects that were required, so English Language Arts, writing, math, science. My classroom is a combination classroom, which is really hard to do for those of you who've ever done it. It's a kindergarten first classroom. And the week that I chose is a week during spring, and you'll see why, because my theme for the week is butterflies and butterfly cycles. So the Common Core state standards that I will be addressing within the week-long lesson plan are as follows. For English Language Arts, demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English grammar and usage when writing or speaking. For writing, use a combination of drawing, dictating, and writing to compose informative explanatory texts in which they name what they are writing about and supply some information about the topic, which will be butterflies. For math, when counting objects, say the number names in the standard order, pairing each object with one and only one number, and name each number named with one and only one object. And for science, use observation to describe patterns of what plants and animals, including humans, need to survive. For the assessments that I will be using to assess the students after the lessons are given are end of the lesson polling quizzes, which will allow me to, which is a summative assessment, which will allow me to know how well the students were able to comprehend and understand the lesson that I gave that day. Digital learning logs. So actually this is really cool because I'll be able to use the tablets that I received the grant for to record the students giving me like a summary about what they learned during the lesson that day in order to create a digital learning log for each student that I will create a copy for them at the end of the school year to send home with them. And then observations, of course. So learning intention and success criteria. So for my learning intention, each day I wrote down what we're learning to do depending on what subject is that day. And then for success criteria, I wrote what students will be successful at, how students will be successful when they can do whatever the skill is according to that day as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just read the success criteria just because I don't want to make this presentation too long. So for success criteria, I noted that on Monday, students will find adjectives in informational and literature text without prompting. On Tuesday, students will be successful when they can add adjectives into their own writing without prompting or adjective dictionaries. On Wednesday, students will be successful when they are able to use less than, greater than, and equal to symbols independently in math, writing, and in speaking. On Thursday, students will be successful when they speak, write, and draw about the life cycle of a butterfly on their own independently. On Friday, success will look like sharing and making connections about the life cycle of a butterfly in different content areas. So building schema, pretty much. Cultural relevance, the outcomes of these lessons are essential to student success because they allow students to build schema and to develop foundation in writing, reading, speaking, math, and science skills that will help them with successfully completing future research tasks, especially in the upper grade levels. The assignment details are as follows for each day of the week. So on Monday, basically, I'm going to read a book to the students. that's all about butterflies, and then we're going to use post-it notes to highlight adjectives in the text. On Tuesday, we are going to write about the text that we read, all about butterflies, using at least 2 newly learned adjectives from the text, and you'll see later in that lesson plan that I have a circle map for students to pull adjectives from. On Wednesday, students will use butterfly and caterpillar counters to create different quantities of each group with a maximum of 10 in each group, and compare using less than, greater than, and equal to symbols. On Thursday, we are going to read, review, and recap the life cycle of a butterfly and draw a picture of a butterfly's life cycle. And then on Friday, again, we're going to review the life cycle, and then we're going to create a digital life cycle of a butterfly using Chatterpix, which is an application that can be used with tablets, and students will be able to give classroom presentations using that application and Chatterpix that they created on their tablets. And then the assignment is going to be a take-home assignment for the week-long lesson. It's going to be for students to create a butterfly life cycle at home using materials found at home. And they are also going to be responsible for taking digital pictures using either a smartphone or tablet to take pictures of the process that they took to create their life cycles, and that assignment is going to be due on Monday when they return. The materials that are needed are listed here. It's not really much out of the ordinary, but most of the lessons do include the use of the smartboard and tablets. So I'll just go ahead and quickly review, because I'm already at 7 minutes, the lessons for each day. So on Monday, like I said, I'm going to read the book. And then after I read the book, we're going to talk about what adjectives are. Students will be responsible for highlighting with post-its the adjectives that they find in the text. And then we're going to create a circle map with all the adjectives that they found inside the book describing butterflies. And then for differentiation of learning for this activity, I have tablets with an audio recording of myself reading the book so that students can go back and listen to the book again. Individualized circle maps with less adjectives on it for the students that, get overstimulated with too much going on the page. And then I also have the lesson being recorded so that I can replay it on the smartboard for those students that need that additional help and recap. For my reflection, I usually like to end the lesson with reflecting on how well the lesson went, why did I feel it went well, what problems I experienced, if the lesson was student-centered, if it should have been, what I could have done differently, and what I learned from this experience that will help me in the future. So for Tuesday, I have writing about butterflies. I'm going to have to speed this up. And basically the students are going to use the circle map to pull the adjectives to write about the butterflies, and then they'll use their tablets to create a Chatterpix of their writing. And then they'll use the tablets, obviously, to create the Chatterpix. Same reflection. On Wednesday, I will have students use butterfly and caterpillar counters. This is going to be the smartboard game where students will play the game that will be sets of butterflies and caterpillars, and they'll have to use the smart pen to either decide whether the group has less than, more than, or is equal to. And then students will also be able to use the tablets to play the same game. With a friend. Sorry, my baby's sleeping. For differentiation, students who are unable to use the smartboard or the tablet will be able to use, or can use just one, will be able to use felt caterpillars and butterflies. and math symbols, and a touchscreen pointer if they're unable to walk up to the whiteboard or to use a tablet, either or. For Thursday, we're going to have students create an interactive diagram on the smartboard displaying the different stages of the life cycle of a butterfly. And then students will also have the opportunity to create the life cycle using diagrams, sequencing, and text. So that might look like a student using a smart pen to write on the smartboard. First there is an egg, second there is a caterpillar, third there is a cocoon, and last there is a butterfly. And then for this differentiation, also for caterpillars and butterflies, the lesson can be individualized on the tablet, sequencing cards that are printed, fill in the blank diagrams, and touchscreen pointers. And then for Friday, this is actually the most exciting one. Chatterpix is actually an application where you can take a picture or pick a picture from the already existing gallery on the application of anything of your choosing, and then after you select the picture, you draw a mouth anywhere on the picture. So if you're using like a picture of a butterfly, you can draw a line over the butterfly's mouth where the mouth would be. And so what it does is you record an audio recording during your session, and then it basically uses that audio recording to open up the little flap where you drew your mouth and spit out the audio recording that you recorded. So students would be able to make like animals talk, their paper talk, or whatever they take a picture of. So the idea here is for students to take a picture of their drawing and their writing that they have, which will be a picture of the life cycle of a butterfly, and then some sentences. So first it's an egg, second it's a caterpillar, third it's a cocoon, and last it's a butterfly and it flies away. So then the students would draw a mouth anywhere on the picture that they took, and they would read aloud the sentences that they wrote on their piece of paper. Then they would come up to the front of the classroom, and since they've already recorded an audio recording of themselves reading their sentences, all they would have to do is stand there and say, "Hi, my name is John, and this is my presentation about the life cycles of a butterfly." And you can actually connect the tablet to the smartboard so that it actually displays the image that's being displayed on your tablet. So that's a really cool feature about the two sets of technologies that I chose to have funding for in my classroom. So that's pretty much it. I went a little bit over, so I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you for listening to my really rushed presentation on my week-long lesson.